In recent years, the southern United States has become a hotspot for managing the growing presence of wild boars. These animals, known for their adaptability and resilience, have increasingly posed challenges for local agriculture and rural communities. Their feeding habits have led to significant damage to crops, property, and occasionally even threats to livestock and human safety. In response, organized efforts have been mobilized to help control their populations in affected areas. One such operation took place in Arkansas, where wild boars were reported to be causing widespread crop damage. Early in the morning, at around 5 a.m., a dedicated team of wildlife managers and trained tracking dogs began their coordinated activity in a forested area identified as a problem zone. Upon reaching the site, the team divided into smaller units, each tasked with a specific section of the terrain. Their goal was to observe, track, and reduce the number of wild boars in the area to mitigate the environmental impact. As the team advanced deeper into the forest, they remained highly alert. A short time into the operation, one of the participants observed movement, an animal silhouette crossing through a clearing. After confirming the target, a well-placed shot was used to humanely bring the animal down, showcasing the skill and discipline of the team. In another sector, a similar event unfolded as a group of wild boars was spotted foraging, without sensing any nearby human presence. One of the larger boars was selected, and the team member made a calculated move, resulting in a swift and effective outcome. The use of trained dogs in these operations proves vital. Shortly after the initial encounters, the tracking dogs picked up the trail of another wild boar. Guided by the sound of barking, the team quickly responded. The animal was located, and with coordinated action, it was safely and swiftly subdued before further damage could occur. This sequence marked another successful intervention in the Arkansas region. Simultaneously, in South Carolina, another team was operating under similar conditions. Using careful planning and observation techniques, they positioned themselves in likely travel paths of the wild boars. At one point, a boar emerged from dense brush in search of food. A clean and precise response helped resolve the situation effectively, further contributing to the population management effort. Elsewhere along the forest's edge, another team member encountered a wild boar unexpectedly emerging from tall grass. Acting quickly, the individual used their training to address the situation with accuracy, again minimizing risk to the surrounding area. These proactive interventions helped restore a level of balance and reduce disruptions to the local ecosystem. Beyond the United States, similar issues have arisen in other parts of the world. In New South Wales, Australia, an area vital to the country's agricultural economy, wild boars have become a significant concern. These animals have been known to damage soil structures, destroy crops, and contribute to economic losses estimated in the tens of millions of dollars annually. In response, wildlife control efforts have expanded, with teams across the region coordinating to safeguard farmland and restore stability to affected areas. During one early morning effort, participants prepared their equipment and transported themselves to a designated monitoring zone. After a period of waiting in silence, movement was detected. A large wild boar, estimated to weigh over 200 kilograms, unexpectedly charged through an open space. A precise and well-timed response helped bring the animal to a stop without delay. Meanwhile, another member of the team identified a herd in a neighboring field. With careful focus, one of the larger boars was targeted, and the individual executed a single, effective action that minimized stress and disruption to the surrounding environment. Although many of the others escaped, it demonstrated the unpredictability and speed of these animals under pressure. Later, as predicted by the team, more wild boars began to appear across the open plains. Though multiple shots were fired to prevent further disruption, only a few animals were successfully intercepted as the rest retreated into the dense cover of the bush. The group then began tracking residual movement using location updates shared across the team. Within minutes, a large boar was seen navigating through tall grass. The opportunity was met with another carefully executed action, further contributing to the mission. On another side of the field, a team member spotted several wild boars trying to avoid detection. As hunting dogs provided assistance, Two of the animals were brought down promptly, while others attempted to flee. As dusk approached, visibility decreased and the terrain quieted. However, the mission was not yet complete. The final movements of the day occurred when a boar suddenly dashed through the undergrowth, possibly startled by distant sounds. It ran directly into the path of the team, leading to one last decisive moment that concluded the day's work. These wildlife management efforts are carried out under strict regulations and guidelines to ensure the safety of both people and animals. By combining training, coordination, and observation, such programs aim to restore ecological balance, prevent agricultural loss, and reduce human-wildlife conflict in areas experiencing growing populations of wild boars. In recent weeks, signs of wild boar activity had become increasingly visible along the mountain slopes behind the village. Tracks, disturbed soil, and uprooted vegetation pointed to the presence of these animals moving closer to human settlements. In response to this growing concern, a group of local field observers set out early one morning, aiming to intercept the animals before they descended further down the slopes. The terrain posed significant challenges. Steep, uneven, and slippery paths made travel difficult. However, by following the trails typically used by wild boars, the group increased their chances of encountering them. Their journey began at the base of the mountain, where they parked near a narrow trail. As they prepared for the ascent, rifles were secured, and the group was ready to proceed to their designated observation points. Unexpectedly, the stillness of the morning was broken. From a mound near the roadside, a wild boar emerged abruptly. A rapid and well-placed shot was fired, neutralizing the target immediately. Although the team had just started their operation, the first encounter had already occurred. It took approximately 30 minutes for the group to reach the main ambush site that had been selected based on prior tracking efforts. From the top of the slope, visibility was clear, but the lower areas were covered in dense vegetation, prime habitat for wild boars. One animal dodged a shot and darted into the undergrowth but reappeared moments later on the other side of the brush, just as predicted. A carefully timed shot followed, leaving no chance for escape. Soon after, a small group of wild boars began moving up the slope. Observers waited patiently. As one of the animals entered an open space, a single shot was fired, resulting in another successful takedown. The others scattered in alarm. At a higher vantage point, another member of the team spotted a boar as it emerged from a dense thicket. The reaction was swift, and a direct shot ensured the animal was brought down instantly. In terrain such as this, where steep slopes meet thick vegetation, wild boars often travel along covered paths while foraging. By understanding wind direction and choosing ideal locations for observation, success in intercepting these animals can be significantly increased. Efforts were not limited to the upper slopes. In the valley below, another team member received information that a wild boar had been injured and was attempting to hide in the brush. Acting quickly, the observer approached the location and located the animal, which was no longer capable of fleeing. A final, humane shot was delivered to prevent further suffering. In operations like these, field observers often transition from mountaintop stations to lower ambush points later in the day. One such location was a narrow trail between the valley and the slope, a path frequently used by wildlife. Shortly after arrival, the sound of movement in the nearby brush signaled the approach of another boar. A clean and well-aimed shot followed, effectively ending the encounter. Throughout the day, the series of events unfolded with the tension and clarity of a documentary reel. Each moment demanded focus and precision, as the goal remained the same: to prevent crop damage and help restore balance in the forested areas surrounding the village. These well-coordinated efforts required both courage and discipline, as each team member worked toward a common purpose. In another region, an early morning ambush demonstrated similar skill and timing. At approximately 6 a.m., one team took up position at their pre-arranged observation site. With barely a sound, a wild boar emerged from the thickets ahead. A single shot echoed through the trees, and the animal dropped where it stood. The execution was calm and precise, marking a successful start to the operation. Elsewhere, a second group approached their target location by off-road vehicle. Upon arrival, they took cover behind a rocky outcrop, keeping watch on the opposite slope. A wild boar eventually appeared, foraging along the hill. A calculated shot followed, neutralizing the animal before it could descend toward nearby fields. In open hill areas, where visibility is high but cover is limited, experienced observers must rely on both silence and timing. One such professional, equipped with binoculars, moved cautiously to a known lookout. He scanned the landscape carefully, aware that the boars in this region were intelligent and wary. When a sudden movement gave away the animal's position, the observer reacted swiftly. A sequence of shots followed the boar's path, ultimately halting its flight. Further south, another silent pursuit unfolded near the edges of a grassy field adjacent to the Sierra morphine forest. A team had surrounded the area early that morning, and trained tracking dogs were deployed to detect any lingering traces of boar presence. When the dogs gave a signal, an observer took aim, and a clean shot completed the interception. As dusk fell over the Hordo Bay GI region, another operation reached its climax. An entire rice field had been secured by a team determined to prevent further damage. Barking from detection dogs revealed the target's approach. A wild boar burst from the stalks, attempting to escape through a gap in the field boundary. However, the response was immediate, and another clean, well-placed shot brought the incident to a close. Across all of these encounters, one theme remains consistent. Informed positioning, patient observation, and responsible action allow for effective wildlife management, especially in areas where agricultural interests and natural ecosystems overlap. These carefully coordinated efforts help minimize conflicts between humans and wildlife, promoting coexistence through responsible stewardship.